Welcome to my channel USA Liberty World Coin episode where we dive deep into the pockets of history and emerge with treasures you might not even know you possess. Have you ever stopped to consider the small change jingling in your pocket or gathering dust in an old jar? It's easy to overlook the coins we use every day. First up, let's set the stage for our star subject, the 1976 Roosevelt dime. Now, at first glance, you might think, it's just a dime from the 70s, what's the big deal? But 1976 was no ordinary year for the United States. It was the bicentennial, the 200th birthday of the Declaration of Independence, a time of national pride and celebration. The entire country was caught up in bicentennial fever, and the U.S. Mint got in on the action, releasing special quarter dollars, half dollars, and dollar coins with unique reverse designs to commemorate the occasion. However, the humble Roosevelt dime was left out of the redesign, maintaining its classic look featuring the 32nd president. This historical context is the first layer of what makes your coin special. It's a little piece of that massive nationwide celebration, a silent witness to 1976. To truly understand this coin, we have to go back even further, to 1946. That was the year the Roosevelt dime was first minted, shortly after President Franklin D. Roosevelt's death. The choice to put him on the dime was a powerful tribute. FDR was a towering figure who led the nation through the Great Depression and most of World War II. But his connection to the dime specifically stems from his personal battle with polio and his founding of the National Foundation for Infantile Paralysis, later known as the March of Dimes. The organization's very name became synonymous with the little coin that funded its crucial work. So, when you hold a Roosevelt dime, any Roosevelt dime, you're holding a tribute to a man whose legacy is deeply intertwined with the fight against a terrible disease. Now, your specific coin is from 1976, and it's important to understand exactly what you have. The U.S. Mint produced the Roosevelt dime at 3 different facilities that year. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 568 million of them, and those coins have no mint mark. The Denver Mint was even busier, producing a massive mintage of over 695 million dimes, easily identified by the small D mint mark just above the date. Then there was the San Francisco Mint, which produced over 4 million special proof versions, marked with an S, which were made for collectors and feature a sharp, mirror-like finish. The sheer number of these coins minted for circulation is the primary reason why most people believe they aren't worth much, and for the common, well-worn examples, they'd be right. But here is where the plot thickens and the excitement begins. The value of a coin isn't just about its age or how many were made, it's a perfect storm of condition, rarity, and demand. While hundreds of millions of 1976 dimes were minted, how many of them survive today in flawless, untouched condition? That's the key. A coin that stayed in circulation for decades gets scratched, worn down, and loses its luster. But a coin that was set aside shortly after it was made, perhaps as part of a collection or simply forgotten in a drawer, can still look as pristine as the day it left the mint. This is what we call uncirculated or mint state condition. This is the part of the video where you need to pay close attention. For a standard 1976 or 1976 D dime, the value really starts to climb when the coin is in exceptional condition. According to leading coin grading authorities like NGC, a 1976 D dime in circulated condition might only be worth its face value, maybe a few cents more. But once you move into the realm of pristine, uncirculated coins, the numbers begin to jump. A typical uncirculated coin might fetch $1 or $2, but we are aiming much higher than that. The real money is in the coins that have been professionally graded and deemed to be in near perfect or perfect condition. Let's talk numbers, because that's what you're here for. The value skyrockets for coins that are graded MS 67 or higher. A 1976 D Roosevelt dime in MS 67 condition can be worth significantly more than 10 cents. We're talking about coins that can sell for anywhere from $30 to over $50 at this grade level. But if you are one of the incredibly lucky few to own a 1976 D dime in MS 68 condition, a grade that indicates a nearly flawless coin, you are holding a true gem. The value for such a coin jumps to hundreds of dollars, with recent auction records showing these top-tier specimens selling for over $500. We are talking about a coin that was once just 10 cents becoming worth $500 or more. And the potential value doesn't stop there. Have you ever heard the phrase, "An error is a collector's best friend"? It's absolutely true. While the standard 1976 dimes are common, those with mistakes made during the minting process are the true unicorns. Imagine finding a dime that was struck on the wrong type of metal planchet, like a copper cent planchet. Such an error is exceptionally rare. One example, a 1976 D dime struck on a copper planchet, sold at auction for an astounding $2,280. Think about that, a dime that was never meant to exist, born from a minting error, is now worth thousands of dollars. There are other types of errors to watch for too. Look closely at your coin. Do the letters or numbers look like they've been doubled? That's a double die error. Is the image off-center? Was the coin struck more than once, leaving a ghostly overlap of the design? These dramatic minting mistakes are highly sought after by collectors. A 1976 D dime that was multi-struck and off-center has also sold for hundreds of dollars. This is why every single 1976 dime in your possession deserves a second look. You're not just looking for the date, you're looking for the anomaly, the beautiful mistake that makes it one of a kind. Now, let's address the San Francisco USMint proof dimes for a moment. While over 4 million of them were made, making the standard proof relatively common, they still hold value, especially in perfect condition. You can find these in pristine, deep cameo, DCAM, condition, where the frosted design stands out sharply against a mirror-like background. A perfect PR 70 deep cameo 1976 S dime, the highest grade possible, is the pinnacle of proof coinage. While an expert comments that most are affordable, the very finest examples always command a premium from collectors who want the absolute best for their collections. So, why is this particular coin, your 1976 dime, so potentially valuable? It's not valuable simply because it's old, because frankly, in the world of coins, 1976 is still relatively young. Its potential value comes from a combination of factors. First, it's part of the RooseveltDime series, a beloved and widely collected American classic. Second, its connection to the bicentennial gives it a patriotic allure that many collectors find irresistible. And finally, and most importantly, its value is determined by its condition and any unique characteristics it might possess. It's the pursuit of perfection and the hunt for errors that drives the market. To get the maximum value for your coin, you can't just take it to the bank or sell it on a whim. The path to the highest price is through professional certification. You would need to submit your coin to a reputable third-party grading service like PCGS or NGC. They will encapsulate your coin in a protective holder, or slab, and assign it an official grade. This slab is a guarantee of authenticity and condition, which gives buyers confidence. A raw, ungraded coin that looks nice might sell for a few dollars, but that same coin in a PCGS or NGC holder with a high grade like MS67 or MS68 can sell for hundreds, if not thousands. Therefore, the maximum value you can achieve for a standard 1976 dime is in the range of $500 to $600 for a top-tier, gem uncirculated example like an MS68 from Denver or Philadelphia. But if you happen to own one of those rare mint errors, like the wrong planchet or a major double strike, the sky is the limit, with values easily reaching into the thousands of dollars, as proven by that $2,280 auction result. The how much is directly tied to the what is it, and that's what makes this hunt so thrilling. This is the moment where you transform from a casual viewer into a treasure hunter. I want you to go find your old coin jars, look through the cup holders in your car, check the forgotten drawers where you toss your spare change. Look at every single 1976 dime you can find. Don't just look at the front, flip it over and examine every detail. Is it shiny and new looking, with no signs of wear? Does it have a D mint mark? Or is it a proof from San Francisco with an S? Are there any strange markings, doubled letters, or off-center strikes? Next coin, the 1995 RooseveltDime, bearing the distinguished D mint mark of the Denver Mint, represents a fascinating intersection of modern ubiquity and hidden potential. You might be looking at this coin right now, perhaps one of many you've collected over the years, wondering if this seemingly ordinary piece of pocket change could be your ticket to a surprising payday. Today, we're going to put this coin under the microscope, exploring its rich history, its current standing in the collector's market, and most importantly, its potential to become a true gem in your collection. First, let's travel back to understand the legacy this coin carries. The RooseveltDime series began in 1946, shortly after the passing of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. It was a fitting tribute to a leader who guided the nation through depression and war, and whose personal fight against polio led to the founding of the March of Dimes. The dime was the perfect canvas for this tribute, as it was the coin most associated with his charitable efforts. Your 1995 D-Dime is a direct descendant of that noble tradition, designed by the same artist, John R. Sinek, featuring FDR's profile on the obverse and a torch of liberty flanked by olive and oak branches on the reverse, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. Now, let's talk about the sheer scale of production, because this is where the story of value truly begins. The Denver Mint was incredibly busy in 1995, striking a monumental number of dimes. We are talking about a mintage of over 1.27 billion, that's 1,274,890,000 of these coins produced for circulation. To put that in perspective, it's one of the highest mintage figures for any Roosevelt dime. At first glance, these numbers might make you think the coin is as common as can be, and for the most part, you would be right. The sheer volume is the primary reason why a worn-out 1995 D-Dime found in a jar of spare change is still only worth its face value, maybe 10 or 20 cents. But here's the crucial distinction that separates the truly valuable from the everyday: condition. In the world of numismatics, it's not about how many were made, but how many survive in a state of pristine, untouched perfection. Of those 1.27 billion dimes, the vast majority were used in daily commerce, jingling in pockets, sliding across counters, and accumulating scratches and wear. Finding one that was set aside shortly after being minted, perhaps in an old collection or an untouched bankroll, is like finding a needle in a haystack. This is where the value starts to climb dramatically. Let's look at the numbers that matter. According to the NGC price guide, as of early 2026, a circulated 1995 RooseveltDime in typical worn condition will only fetch between 15 cents and 35 cents. This is the baseline, the pocket change value. However, the moment we step into the realm of uncirculated, mint state condition, the story changes. A common, low-grade uncirculated coin might be worth $1 or $2. But as the quality increases, so does the price, and it does so exponentially. The real magic happens for coins that have been professionally graded and deemed to be in exceptional condition. For instance, a 1995 D-Dime graded MS-66, which indicates a coin with above-average mint luster and a few nearly imperceptible imperfections, can be valued significantly higher than its circulated counterparts. But the true treasure lies in the higher grades. The NGC price guide shows that a 1995 D-Dime in pristine, uncirculated condition can sell for as much as $260. Think about that for a second. A 10-cent piece from 1995, something you might have spent on a gumball machine, can be worth over $250. The maximum value at this very moment, according to the most authoritative pricing guides, hovers in that $260 range for the absolute finest known examples of a standard business strike 1995 D-Dime. These are coins graded MS-68, which represent the pinnacle of quality for this issue, with flawless surfaces and exceptional eye appeal. The NGC census data reveals just how rare these top-tier coins are, with only a handful ever having been certified at this level. This scarcity is what drives the price up, transforming a common coin into a coveted collector's item. But wait, the potential value doesn't stop there. You also need to consider the full bands designation, often abbreviated as FB. This is a special recognition given to RooseveltDimes where the horizontal bands across the torch on the reverse are fully separated and clearly defined, with no significant wear or weakness in the strike. A coin with full bands is considered far more desirable and commands a substantial premium over a similarly graded coin without the designation. So, a 1995 D-Dime with full bands, especially in a high mint state grade, could be worth even more than the standard $260 estimate. Now, let's address the question of future value. Can this coin be valuable in the future? The answer is a resounding yes, especially for the high-grade examples we just discussed. As time passes, the number of coins surviving in flawless condition will only decrease. They can be lost, damaged, or simply disappear into collections. This natural attrition, combined with a steady or growing number of collectors seeking to complete high-quality sets, creates upward pressure on prices. The coins that are already scarce in MS-68 condition today will likely become even harder to find and more desirable in the decades to come. Beyond the standard strikes, there is another tantalizing possibility that could send the value of a 1995 D-Dime into the stratosphere: mint errors. You must keep your eyes peeled for anything unusual. There is a documented and incredibly rare error known as a mule, where a coin is struck with mismatched dies. A fascinating example exists from 1995, where a cent obverse die was paired with a dime reverse die, and it was struck on a dime planchet. These errors are so scarce and so sought after that they can sell for astronomical sums, with similar mules from that era valued at $50,000 and more. So, how do you determine if your 1995 D-Dime is one of these hidden gems? It all starts with a close examination. Look at the condition. Does your coin have a brilliant, mirror-like luster with absolutely no signs of wear on the high points like Roosevelt's cheek or the torch's bands? Does it show full, sharp details? If so, you might have something special. The next step is professional authentication and grading by a service like PCGS or NGC. They will encapsulate your coin in a protective holder, assign it a grade, and certify its authenticity, which is the only way to unlock its true market value. In conclusion, the 1995 RooseveltDime is a coin of incredible contrasts. It is a common piece of history, minted in the billions, yet it holds the potential for remarkable value in its finest surviving examples. With current maximum values reaching up to $260 for pristine specimens and the remote but thrilling possibility of a mint error worth thousands, this dime is far more than just 10 cents. It is a history lesson, a treasure hunt, and a potential investment all rolled into one. I want you to go and look at your 1995 D-Dimes right now. Don't just see the coin, see the potential. Look for that exceptional shine, that sharp detail, that hint of perfection that could make it a standout. You are now equipped with the knowledge to spot a hidden fortune in your own pocket change. The value is out there, waiting for you to discover it. So, start searching, and may you be the one to find that $260 diamond in the rough hiding in plain sight. Second coin, the 1984 RooseveltDime, the coin that could be hiding in plain sight right now in your pocket, in your old piggy bank, or even tossed in that jar of change on your dresser. Most people look at a dime and see only 10 cents, pocket change, virtually worthless, but today we are going to pull back the curtain and look at this small piece of American history through the eyes of a collector. We are going to explore the incredible story behind this coin, why it was made, and most importantly, I am going to reveal the maximum prize, the absolute top dollar that a pristine example of this seemingly ordinary 1984 dime can fetch on the open market. You might be sitting on a small fortune and not even know it. First, let's establish exactly what we are talking about. This is the RooseveltDime, a coin that has been a staple of American currency since 1946. The obverse, that is the front side, features the profile of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and the reverse showcases a torch signifying liberty, an olive branch for peace, and an oak branch for strength. The P Mint mark you see, right there near the date, tells us this coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, the very birthplace of American coinage. In 1984, the Philadelphia Mint was working overtime, because the mintage for this coin was a staggering 856,669,000 pieces. That is nearly 857 million dimes, an almost incomprehensible number that would suggest to the average person that this coin is as common as dirt. But here is where the story gets interesting, and this is the part that needs to get your heart racing a little. While over 856 million of these dimes were stamped out, the vast majority of them went straight into circulation. They were used to buy newspapers, to make change at cash registers, and to tip waitresses. They jingled around in pockets, got scratched, got worn down, and lost that fresh, mirror-like luster that collectors crave. The condition, or the grade, of a coin is absolutely everything when it comes to value. According to the experts at the Numismatic Guarantee Company, a run-of-the-mill 1984 P dime that you find in circulation, one that has been handled and shows signs of wear, is only worth between 15 cents and 35 cents. That is barely more than its face value, and you might be thinking, well, that is not exactly a retirement fund. But hold on, don't you dare walk away from this video yet, because we are just getting to the good part. What if I told you that a 1984 P dime, the very same coin with the same date and the same mint mark, could be worth hundreds of dollars? It all comes down to a concept called mint state, or uncirculated condition. A mint state coin is one that was never released into the general public stream. It was specially handled, often sealed in a bag or roll at the mint, and has survived for decades in the exact same condition it was in the moment it was struck. These coins have sharp details, a brilliant shine, and no signs of wear. And it is these coins, the ones in pristine, uncirculated condition, that collectors are willing to pay a premium for. And we have to talk about the full bands designation. Look at the reverse of the dime, at the torch in the center. You will see horizontal bands wrapping around the torch. On many dimes, even those that appear uncirculated, these bands are not fully defined, they are mushy or broken due to the immense pressure of the strike not being perfectly centered. But on a select few, the strike was so perfect, so powerful, that the horizontal lines on the bands are complete and unbroken. This is the coveted, full bands, or FB, designation, and it is the holy grail for RooseveltDime collectors. A 1984 P dime with full bands is exponentially rarer and more valuable than a standard coin of the same grade. So, let's get down to the numbers that you have all been waiting for. What is the maximum price for this coin? The Numismatic Guarantee Company Price Guide, which is the Bible for coin values, shows that a 1984 P RooseveltDime in the highest graded, uncirculated condition can sell for as much as $150. But that is just the guide price. At specialized auctions, where collectors battle it out for the finest known examples, the price can climb even higher. The PCGS CoinFacts database, another incredibly authoritative source, tracks these auction records. We are talking about coins graded MS67 or MS68, which are virtually flawless even under magnification. When you have a coin of that caliber, a perfect storm of a high grade and full bands, the value can easily surpass the $150 mark and go into the hundreds of dollars, making that tiny dime worth over 1,000 times its face value. Now, why was this coin even built? What is the history behind it? The story of the Roosevelt dime is one of tribute and compassion. Shortly after President Franklin D. Roosevelt died in April 1945, there was a massive public outcry to honor the man who led the nation through the Great Depression and World War II. But there was another, deeply personal reason he was chosen for the dime. Roosevelt was a victim of polio, and he founded the National Foundation for Infantile Paralysis, which eventually became the March of Dimes. The organization's name was a brilliant play on words, encouraging everyday Americans to send their dimes to the White House to fund polio research. It was the common man's coin, used to fight a terrible disease, and so it was deemed the most fitting tribute to place his image on the dime. The designer was John R. Sinek, whose initials, JS, appear at the base of Roosevelt's bust. This brings us to the question of demand. How many people want to buy it? The market for RooseveltDimes is surprisingly robust. You have the classic, die-hard collectors who are trying to assemble a complete set of every date and mint mark from 1946 to the present day. These collectors need a 1984p to fill that specific hole in their album, and if they want a high-quality example, they have to compete with others. Then you have the registry set collectors, who are in an arms race to build the highest graded set possible, as recognized by the major grading services like PCGS and NGC. For them, only the best will do, and they are willing to pay top dollar for that MS68 or MS69 example to jump ahead of their rivals. There is a passionate, active community of collectors out there, and they all want the best coins they can find. So, is its value really high or low? It is all relative. Compared to a 1916 D Mercury dime, which can sell for over $100,000, the value of a 1984p is low. But we have to look at it from a different perspective. We are talking about a coin that is barely 40 years old, made in the billions, that you can still find in your pocket change. The fact that any example of this coin can be worth more than a few cents is remarkable. The fact that the absolute finest, most perfect specimens can command prices of over $150 is genuinely exciting. It proves that value is not just about age, it is about condition, rarity within the context of survival, and the insatiable desire of collectors to own the very best. Think about the journey this coin could have taken. When it was struck in 1984, Ronald Reagan was president, the Los Angeles Olympics were happening, and the Apple Macintosh computer was introduced. This dime is a tiny time capsule from that era. If it stayed in a mint roll for all those years, untouched and perfect, it is a piece of 1984 that has been perfectly preserved. That is what you are paying for when you buy a high-grade coin, not just the metal, but the preservation of a moment in time. Now, I know some of you are already heading to your change jars to look for a 1984p dime. And you should. But you need to look with educated eyes. You are not just looking for the date and the mint mark, you are looking for the condition. Look for a coin that has no nicks, no scratches, and a brilliant, shiny surface. Look at the torch on the back. Can you see the lines on the bands clearly? If you find one that looks like it just came off the press, you might have found a hidden gem. Do not, under any circumstances, clean it. Cleaning a coin destroys its value instantly. If you think you have a winner, put it in a soft, non-abrasive holder, like a paper coin envelope, and protect it.